Is it time to come back to Marvel Snap? Has Marvel Snap finally been saved from itself? Well, those are a couple big questions we're going to tackle in this video because we got a really good update from the Marvel Snap team this week in light of the ban to Marvel Snap in the United States. There is going to be this compensation package hitting players, and it's crazy generous. For like the first time ever, I think people came away from a Marvel Snap update universally pumped. Usually anytime Marvel Snap drops any kind of news over here in this Discord channel, you know, it's mixed at best, often disappointed among the player base, you know, a lot of disappointment floating around. This time it's like everybody was like, holy crap, this is actually insane. All upvotes. Nobody's mad for once because this is actually a really nice haul of stuff they're giving to any US players, whether you were really impacted or not. Even if you haven't played, if you come back to Marvel Snap, I guess sometime next week, it says this stuff's going to be waiting for you. And it's insane. Like 2 spotlight keys, 6,000 tokens. That's basically 2 cards, a bunch of XP credits, gold, tickets if you care about Conquest, and just medals too. This just buys you stuff in the Conquest shop. And then 6 premium mystery variants. Like what the heck? There's just so much stuff. Cosmetic, progression, cards, a little bit of everything. And even if you're outside the United States, you still get something too. Even though, you know, you weren't directly impacted by the ban and the fallout here, you still get a couple spotlight keys, half of a Series 5 card. Like there's a lot of bonuses here for global players as well, who may or may not have even really noticed this happened, other than, you know, people whining about it on the internet like me. You know, it's a little less for people under collection level 500, but still insane. I mean, maybe not that much less. You get 6 Series 3 cards. Like what? It's actually just a lot, an instant infusion of stuff. So, you know, this not only feels like kind of a make good compensation for the ban, which is reasonable, right? That was very scary for a lot of players. Like, oh my God, did I just lose my entire collection? Did I lose all these years of progress? Did I lose all this money I invested? So I understand why they want to come in and swing big for that. But it also kind of feels like this is more of a goodwill gesture for lapsed players as well. Like, hey, look, times are changing. They say there is a new era in Marvel Snap, and we're going to be better, supposedly, right? And that means it's a good time to come back. And I mean, listen, there's multiple years of precedent here where, you know, they've disappointed people a lot, and it's been a lot of frustrations, and a lot of the core systems don't work well. And it's hard to have a lot of faith and trust in just words at this stage, right? But I will acknowledge for the first time, like this actually went above and beyond. And I don't think in eras past we would have ever gotten anything remotely close to this excessive of a compensation. So then I guess the question becomes like, is this a signaling of a changing of the tide? Like, is Marvel Snap going to be better and more generous and more awesome moving forward? Or was this kind of a one-time exception because, you know, it was such an exceptional, unusual situation? I think that's what you have to ask, and we may not really know the answer to that until we move forward. But you know, we do have some reason to believe real change is possible. They acknowledge here that to make sure this never happens again, we're working to bring more services in-house and partner with a new publisher. So that could actually lead to meaningful change. You know, I don't know exactly what services are provided from a Marvel Snap standpoint by their publisher. It can kind of vary from game to game. I believe they use their publisher for customer support, which has been, a lot of people hate the customer support. I'm 97% sure they use it for their advertising, which a lot of the advertising has actually been criticized by me as well. So those things may not direct current players much. I guess the support stuff can, but on average may not affect the average player. But you know, still could be net positives for the game. If customer support gets way better, that's going to be awesome. If advertisements are better and less trashy and silly and goofy and stuff, maybe we could get, you know, more players and I don't know, they'd be more effective necessarily, but at least might make the game look a little better. I guess the big question is, how much does the publisher impact pricing for things like bundles in the shop? That I have a little less faith that that's directly related to the publisher. We know that Marvel Snap has, like, you know, economy style employees who are, you know, dealing with their progression and economy systems in game in-house, and they're probably determining a lot of the pricing and progression systems. So that's probably not something that's up to change because of the publisher, unless perhaps, you know, they get a new contract where the publisher takes a smaller cut of their proceeds that could increase margins basically on bundles, and they could maybe choose to give some of that margin back to players in the form of cheaper bundles. Alternatively, they could just keep that margin in house to pay for these new employees and services they have to take on. So I don't know if like bundle pricing necessarily gets changed as a result of this. Now that said, you know, if it's truly a new era and a new philosophy, and they're, you know, maybe going to be more player positive, maybe that could still change things like bundle pricing and some of that. We also, of course, have the teased progression rework on the way. I will say, you know, despite all of this amazing stuff, that might be a pretty good reason to come back to Marvel Snap, at least for now. Just, you know, see what cards you get, see what mystery variants you get, have some fun with all these new resources for a little while. By the way, we've got a new message. I gotta go scroll this. It happened while we were recording. What is this news? Let me finish my thought first. You know, it may be true that it's an excuse to come back for now, but I think some of the core problems need to be fixed in order for it to be a really exciting proposition to return to the game. You know, that said, if they really are going to be fixed in the near future as teased, this might be a good time to start, you know, like kind of get back, get all this free stuff, start playing again, get back in the groove, and then hopefully, you know, some of these changes to core progression problems will hit kind of right as you're maybe hitting some walls when it comes to progression yourself. So it's hard to say that, you know. We'll talk more about whether or not it's right to come back right now, but at the very least, this is a good excuse to check things out and see what's up. So let's scroll down and see what this new message is. What's oh yeah, this bug's been everywhere. We've been aware of a bug that's creating multiple copy effects. We already have a fix for this coming shortly. Do not abuse exploits. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but there's crazy stuff going on with copied effects. So anyway, scroll back up here. These are the rewards, right? You didn't get to see all these, you know, pause the video, whatever, as I'm scrolling. Go check out the Discord yourself, whatever it might be. As for who's eligible, it's really just anybody who made their account in the United States. As long as it's before January 20th, like before the downtime happened. Or alternatively, if you didn't make your account in the United States, if you were still active in the United States in the last 30 days, you'll still get the US-based rewards. Otherwise, you'll get the global package, which, I mean, it still had some really good stuff. I guess we didn't talk about this just yet, but still 2 keys, 3,000 tokens, couple variants, some credits. Like, it's a nice haul for people who weren't directly impacted. I mean, I'm sure some people want more or want the US stuff, but I think it's a nice gesture to still give some pretty great rewards there. Also of note, this was posted yesterday at 7:02 p.m. Another important update. We work to begin restoring Marvel Snap on the Google Play Store in the US. Will begin tonight. So Marvel Snap has been available in the US if you already had the app downloaded. But if you're somebody who didn't have the app downloaded, or maybe you like uninstalled it because you thought something weird was going on, you wanted to reinstall it, and it was gone from the App Store, it's going to be back soon on the Play Store. Apple, not so much. That also means globally in-app purchases are going to be down for a couple days. That was yesterday, so you're probably already halfway through this, or maybe it's already over. Who knows? And then as far as Apple App Store is concerned, no updates yet. But what this sounds like to me is I think they've probably already begun to ditch their publisher and either self-publish to get back on the app stores, because the app stores are basically saying like, hey, we're following the letter of the law. We're not going to have these ByteDance apps on the App Store, even if the access is available if you have them. So Marvel Snap is kind of, you know, working around that by either finding a new publisher already or doing it themselves. So, you know, we know that this work is actually happening. We also actually already saw some like job postings from the Marvel Snap team replacing positions that their publisher already would have taken on. So they are moving quick when it comes to this, which they probably have to, because of course this was a huge disruptor to their business. Like, people haven't been able to make in-app purchases for a week, and you know, I'm sure the US is a huge portion of their audience, if not the majority. I'm sure it's very, very close, or a plurality at least. Yeah, I don't know, man. Basically, kind of a great update. I think they've actually handled this pretty well after the fact. You know, I still had some concerns and questions about leading up to the ban. We talked about that in the last video. I'm not going to retread that. But I think as far as what they've done after the ban, they've been super communicative. They've kind of been more honest and transparent. than we normally see about like things going wrong and what they're trying to do. And I'm sure there's a lot of things they just literally can't talk about because there's a lot of legal mire and murk in all these situations when you're talking about like these publisher relationships and contracts. And I'm sure there's a million things they can't tell us. They'd love to tell us. So, I mean, listen, I am a biased observer, right? I want Marvel Snap to succeed because it's my job, right? Like I play Marvel Snap for a job. Well, the YouTube videos are the job, I guess, but you know, this currently is the game that my channel is built around. So I'm obviously biased, right? Like I want people to play the game. I want the game to succeed. I think I've been pretty fair, maybe even too critical of Marvel Snap in the past. I don't think anybody thinks I'm a shill at this stage because I just constantly complain about all the systems and so many of the business decisions related to Marvel Snap. Oh, I get so mad. So I will say for me, this is the first time in a long time I've been pretty hopeful about the direction of Marvel Snap. I you know, still skeptical. I think the proof is in the pudding, as I've heard people say. Like we have to see, you know, we have to see the results. Like this is a great first step. This was actually far beyond my expectations. So like, you know, this is a plus in my book so far, but there's still things that need to happen, and this needs to be a philosophy change moving forward, not that one-time exception. So I actually am hopeful, perhaps because I need to be from a biased standpoint, right? I think a lot of other people will still lean far more skeptical, and that's your right, of course. Like you should, frankly, like it's good to be skeptical. And you know, like I said before, it's been a couple years of kind of bad will earned. I think a lot of trust. It's hard to re-earn that trust quickly. A lot of players probably still don't have a ton of faith in the game at this stage, and that is completely reasonable. And I can't blame you. So, you know, I do think this is a potentially great moment to return to Marvel Snap. I don't know that it will stay a great, I don't know that you'll want to stay. It needs more than just this, right? Like it's a good welcome back opportunity, but they need more changes, more stuff like this, a philosophy that is player first like this. And then we're cooking, then we're talking, right? Then I'm more faithful that Marvel Snap can retain a ton of players and continue to grow even, in fact, into the future, where lately I'm thinking the game has been dwindling and kind of doomed to dwindle. You know, this could be something like this could actually re-engage players quite a bit. So I'm curious really what you guys think, because again, you know, I'm a biased observer. You guys are not. You know, you're in it for yourselves, which is how you should be. It's a video game. You play it for your interactions as a video game. You owe nothing to anybody else. It is just between you and the video game, right? So what do you think, right? Like, how do you feel about this? I think pretty much everybody I've read online is happy with the compensation level, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're happy with the game, or that, you know, the blip, as it's being called here, the ban didn't like make you lose a lot of faith in the game or trust that, you know, your cards or collection are safe. You know, do you think the game is worth your time? Are you having fun? There's just so many different angles. I want to hear all of your opinions on, from both people who are currently playing, people who are not playing, people from the US and outside the US. I just want to hear it all. So basically, where do you stand with Marvel Snap in light of this and in light of some of the potential changes moving forward? What's it going to take for you to feel really committed and invested in the game? I'm super curious how everybody feels. So yeah, good change. Is Snap saved? Not yet, but maybe they're on the way, right? Maybe there's a chance. Not that Snap is like dad, but you know what I mean? Like, can Snap turn this around and really blossom is really the question when we say, is Snap saved? And then should you come back to Marvel Snap? Maybe, you know, if you're on the fence, I think this is the best chance you've had in a really, really long time to come back and get re-engaged. But, you know, it's not enough on its own necessarily for everybody. I totally understand that. So I hate to answer both the questions of this video with a maybe, but I think that's the appropriate fitting answer. So anyway, share all those thoughts down below. I want to read what you guys have to say. Thanks much for watching, and I guess I will see you around.